Hello everybody, Ian here, and today we're talking about the much anticipated newest addition to the Tiny Epic series, Tiny Epic Mechs. So let's go in and get down to the table and see how it plays. So here we are down at the table with a 4-player game set up. Now first I want to say that this is not going to be a full rules explanation. It's just going to be an overview to give you a sense of whether this game is right for you. The game takes place over 6 rounds, as noted on this card right here, and whoever has the most points wins the game. Now one thing I want to show you on the board, you have multiple symbols on these cards that make up the board. First you have these symbols, which are the resources of the game, both money and energy. And then in the corners of the cards you have numbers, which are used for different actions throughout the game. So at the beginning of the game, each character is going to choose one basic weapon and equip it to both their meeple and also onto the character card. At the start of the game, you can hold up to 2 basic weapons, but as I said, you only start with 1. Now each round is broken up into 2 main phases, the programming phase and then the action phase. In the programming phase, you're going to take 4 of your 8 program cards and secretly set up how you're going to move this turn. Once you have all 4 actions set up secretly so no one else can see what you're doing, you then reveal them one by one. First by moving in the direction of the arrow and then by performing the action. So with that, let's go and talk about the different actions you can take. First, with the deploy mine action, you can actually deploy a mine onto a card. Now you're given 4 mines, so if you were to deploy a mine, you would pay credits equal to the number of the card you are deploying it on. So if I were deploying a mine on this card, I would pay 1 credit. You can also choose to deploy a turret. Just like mines, turrets have a cost, but instead of credits, you are spending energy based on, once again, the number of the card where you're deploying it. The next 2 cards you have are collect cards. And collecting is how you get more credits and more energy. When you collect, the area you control is the most important thing. So for example, if my character was on this space, I had a turret on this place and a mine on this spot, I would collect 1, 2, 3 energy and 1 credit because this location has both a credit and an energy. So I would collect 3 energy, mark it on my board, and 1 credit. So the more areas you control and the more diverse areas you control, the more you can gain both energy and credits. The next card is Purchase, where you can spend energy and credits to purchase either basic or advanced weapons. There are only 4 advanced weapons revealed at any one time, so when someone purchases one, you reveal a new advanced weapon. The next action you can take is Power Up. Power Up has 2 different purposes. First, you can spend 1 energy to heal yourself 2 hearts. So if you are hurting for health, you may want to use it to heal your character. But you can also use Power Up in order to equip your power suits. So if you were to do that, you would spend 5 credits, you would take your little meeple guy and place him very satisfyingly into this power suit like so. And then equip any weapons that you may have purchased previously. So like if I have purchased this shock knuckles and I already had the power pistol, my character would look like that. Pretty dang cool. And they place them back on the spot. You also want to make sure you take your character card and flip them over to reveal the new power suit side. The regular side looks like that and can only have, as I said, 2 basic weapons, where the other side can have 2 basic and 2 advanced weapons. And you would just set up your character like so. And whenever you power up, it does cost you 5 credits, but then you get to heal completely. The next 2 actions don't give you anything in particular, but they do allow you to move quickly. One action allows you to jump diagonal, and it's the only way in order to do so. And then one action allows you to jump by, like if I were to jump, let's say this way, I would be able to skip a spot. So instead of going to the next location, I can jump over and land at that location. There's no other action attached to that, but it does allow you to do what's called a power attack. There's a little symbol on the top of the cards in order to let you do that power attack. So as I said, each round you're going to be programming your character in order to move a certain direction. And then one by one, so let's say I laid out this program, and then one by one they are revealed, in which case I am going to be moving in that location, and everyone else is going to be moving around the board, deploying turrets, deploying mines, collecting credits and energy, and doing all the actions that the cards that they laid out. Now at any time, if two characters were to meet on the same space, they immediately start combat. Now combat is one of the two ways where you can get points. When you initiate a combat, you immediately get a point. So if I initiated this combat here, I would get a point. Now the way combat works is whoever initiates combat gets to go first. So whoever goes first gets to pick which weapon they want to attack with and then deal that attack to the opposing player. Now each weapon has two different attacks, a regular attack and a power attack. I'm not going to go into specifics of when you would use each attack. As I said, the rulebook does explain it, but it's a little too complicated that I want to explain in this video right now, so I'm just going to leave it out. But let's say for this weapon, I did my power attack and I dealt 2 damage. So I get 2 points because each time you do a damage, you get points. And then when you use a weapon, you're going to turn it sideways to show that it is exhausted, because you can only use each weapon once per combat. Next, the opposing player is going to go, and they have a sword, so they're going to use their weapon. Now let's say they're only able to use a regular attack, so they're going to deal me 1 damage and get 1 point, turning it sideways. So 1 damage is done to me, they get a point, and then their weapon is exhausted. Then it comes back to me. Now since I have my power suit and I have an advanced weapon, I can then use that. I deal the damage, get points, turn it sideways. And this keeps going until one of 2 things happen. First, a character becomes KO'd, and when that happens, they immediately have to retreat back to their base, they get full health, and then that's the end of the combat. The second thing that can happen, as which happened in our scenario, is a character has no more weapons that they can attack with. When that happens, they must retreat. And when a character retreats, they have to move immediately into an adjacent zone, and the combat immediately ends. Now, for sake of explanation, let's say I was the one that actually retreated, and this was only the second card in my program. Either when you retreat or you're KO'd, you enter what is called ad hoc mode, and you can place this ad hoc mode onto your character card. And what you do is you now are able to pick up all of your program cards and put them back into your hand. And now for the remaining of the round, you no longer are stuck with the program that you initially made, but now you get to choose any action and any orientation you want for the remainder of the round. Now I personally really like this because let's say you set out your program perfectly, but then someone comes along, you have to do a combat, and then you end up either retreating or dying, and then your program is just completely messed up, and you spend the rest of the round just running into a wall. Well, this means you don't have to, because although your program is messed up, you can now do any action you want with 0 consequences. Now once everyone has done all 4 of their actions, the round ends and you move to the next round. And you do that for 6 rounds until the game is over. But combat, as I said, is only one way to get points. The second way is actually with area control. At the end of rounds 2, 4, and 6, you're actually going to score points depending on the areas you control on the board. And down here on this card, it reminds you exactly how you score points. First, you score points based on the number of the card where a mine is located. So I have a mine right here on this card, so I score 2 points. Then for turrets, you score double the number on the card. So for this location, it's a number 1, so I would once again score 2 points. So for a turret, it might be better to place a turret on a number 2 card so you can get 4 points, or even on a number 3 card where you can get a total of 6 points for that single turret. Next, you score based on the card where your character currently is located, so I would get another 1 point. And then you score 3 points if you are currently occupying the Mighty Mech. After everybody increases their score to wherever it currently is, you then move to the next round. And then when you're on the 6th round, you also add up the points for the weapons that all have a score as well. And when all the points are tallied up, whoever has the most points win. Now I believe I talked about almost everything. The only thing I didn't talk about is the Mighty Mech, which is one of the coolest pieces in the game. In order to enter the Mighty Mech, you must qualify in both of these criteria. First, you have to already be in your power suit. Second, you have to have completely full health. If you have both those criteria and are on the location where the Mighty Mech is, you can then immediately, costing no action at all, get into the Mighty Mech. So you take your character out, put him in there, and you are ready to go. You get the Mighty Mech card, and you can choose which side you want to do, each one having a slightly different power listed up top. And then you're going to place him on top of your character card, getting 11 health. Now there are two downsides to the Mighty Mech. First downside is the Mighty Mech cannot use basic weapons. So any basic weapon that you started the game with or purchased later cannot be equipped. So in my current situation, I only have one advanced weapon, and that's the only thing I can attach. But they can have a total of 4 advanced weapons, so you definitely can have more than that. The second downside is you cannot heal when you're inside of the Mighty Mech, which means the only way to get out of it is to be killed. So once you're in the Mighty Mech, it is everybody else's mission to come at you and destroy you, so that way they can take over the Mighty Mech themselves. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Program your actions, reveal them, placing mines and turrets, collecting resources, buying weapons, powering up into your power suit, get the Mighty Mech, get the most points, win the game. And that's pretty much how you play Tiny Epic Mechs. Okay, so now that we know how it plays, let's go and throw up my gamers review and let's check out to see how much I like it. So genre and theming, it's on point. I mean, the fact that you can take your meeple and put them into your power suit or into the Mighty Mech, I mean, that is just so cool. I mean, it really, really is. And I've seen some people worried online that it takes time to take them in and out of the mech. I'm not gonna lie, it does take a little bit of time, and it's a little tight at first. It's gotten looser over time, but it was a little tight the first few times to take it in and out of the power suit. But what's nice about it is while you're upgrading, while you're powering up to put on the power suit or into the Mighty Mech, another player could take their turn. So even in a 2-player game, it's gonna not slow the game too much because I mean, the other person's gonna take their turn and then it'll come back to you, and by then hopefully you'll be ready to go. And if not, like in a 4-player game, it'll be, you know, you'll definitely be all powered up and have your weapons attached and everything by the time it comes back around to your turn again. So it's really not that bad as far as slowing down the game. Yes, it is a little fiddly for the person doing the action, but it doesn't slow the game down at all. So it doesn't detract from the game at all. So, but the genre is really on point. Plus the fact that it's programming is the main mechanism of the game is very thematic. The fact that these are robots and mechs and you have to like pre-program the moves out and then it kind of performs the actions. And sometimes the program gets messed up, but that's okay because then you go into ad hoc mode, which I think is an excellent addition. Because the worst, I mean, I know the programming, the point is to potentially the program's going to get messed up. But the fact that even though it gets messed up, it doesn't ruin your plans, I think is genius. Art and components, I already really talked about the power suits and the Mighty Mech and the weapons. I mean, the weapons they've used in a few other games such as Tiny Epic Zombies and Tiny Epic Quest, and the fact that you can attach them. So although it's not new to this game, it's still really cool. I still love attaching weapons to the meeples, putting them into the power suit. It's just really cool. The pilot cards are lit and finished. They're not. I think they're pretty good quality. The cards themselves, like the program cards or the weapon cards, they're a bit thinner than the pilot cards, but not too bad. They're still okay. A little thin, but not terrible. The art, I mean, I really like the art. It's very thematic. The cards are easy to distinguish the numbers on them and then what symbol is in the middle. I think overall the art is on point. The one thing that I would say is not as good is the score tracker. I hate snake. Oh, I did it the wrong way. I really hate snake tracks. I mean, I go the wrong way on them all the time, and then I end up I usually catch myself, but what if I didn't? What if I accidentally gave myself less points and didn't catch myself? So I really don't like snake tracks. I know why they do it that way, so that way you don't have to like pick it up and move it to the other side, but I just don't like them. So that's my one gripe about the art, but really that's minor. Mechanics, like I said, I like the programming. I think the programming is good. The one fiddly component about it is when you lay down your card, you got to make sure it's covered up first. So what I usually do is I pick my 4 cards out, and I put them, make sure I orient them correctly and everything, and then one at a time I'll cover them up, and then take both the cards and then lay them down like that. Oh, I did it backwards even. I was doing it in the camera. So cover it up and then put them down. Like I said, it is a little fiddly. Some people, one person in my group just ended up just laying it down face down. I don't really like that, just because what if you flip it over and you end up in the wrong direction? You didn't orient it correctly. So I do like how it's done. I just think it's a little fiddly, a little confusing. That wasn't part of the mechanics, so that's just kind of how you lay down the cards. But overall, I do like the mechanics. I like the way the programming works. One gripe that I've seen online is the way combat works. The way it's kind of deterministic in the fact that you can, when combat starts, you can look and see who is going to win. Okay, this person has 4 weapons. This person has 1 weapon. Well, obviously, the person who has 4 weapons isn't going to exhaust their 4 weapons before the other person with the 1 weapon exhausts theirs. And then you can even look at the weapons and know exactly which ones can counter and not counter. So it is very easy to know who's going to win at the end. But I don't mind that. I don't love it. It does definitely slow the game down a bit. Where the programming is really fast. Setting up the program takes some time, but then when you execute the program, it's really fast, and that does slow the game down because you're trying to figure out which card to use, and then you're tapping it and taking turn by turn like that. So it does slow the game down. But I didn't mind it because I think there is some strategy there in knowing which weapon to use when to get the most damage. Because damage equals points, and it's not bad when you die. It just means you lose your power suit or the mighty mech, and you go back to your home base. But it's not the end of the world if you die. So really, it's just a mechanism to get points. It's not really a mechanism to be this big combat thing, because really it's, hit, oh, retreat. That's usually what it ends up being, is 2 or 3 hits and then somebody retreating. But like I said, I don't think that's bad. It's just not as thematic as I would have liked it. But mechanically, I think it works, and I think it works well in being able to for that point mechanism. Ease of play, it's pretty easy. The hardest part actually comes with the strategy of the game, which I think is not apparent when you set the game up and teach the rules. So when I get to strategy, I'll talk about that. But as far as easy to play goes, I say it is really easy to play because all you're doing is taking 4 actions, and there's only 6 actions you could take. 1, 2, 3, but the deploy actions are kind of the same. So 4, 5-ish actions you can take, and some slight variations on that. But overall, it's very easy to play. So easy to play, definitely easy. Replayability, that's where I think it hurts a little bit. Now granted, there are a lot of different pilots because it's on Kickstarter. They unlocked a lot of different pilots. Plus, if you got the deluxe edition, you have 2 additional pilots. So there really is a lot of play value there. But it does kind of feel kind of samey. For example, when I played, I kept forgetting what my power was, even to do it. So I think the replayability isn't great, but I think it's fine. On that note, I think I'm going to talk about solo play in this section, because I did try this solo, and I kind of enjoyed it, but I definitely liked it more with players. So in solo, basically what happens is you basically play a 3-player game, you against 2 bots, and You set out your program, you play exactly the same, but the way the bots play is it's all random. They just flip over the next card, and that's how they play the game. But they still score points the exact same way that you do, which means you, as the solo player, has to not only do your program, do your points, figure out all of that, but you also have to figure it all out for the opposing player, for both opposing bots. And it does, on the back of the card, on the back of the player cards, it does tell you what each card does, which is kind of nice. So it's a quick reference of, oh, so if they get a collect card, the mech is going to move forward, and it kind of, you know, lays it all out there pretty easily to show you. But it's still very fiddly because you're doing everything, and it just seems like a lot of, okay, I gotta remember to move up their, you know, points. And I think I ended up winning the solo game, but in thinking back about it, I might have actually missed a few points to give some of my opponents, and so it's possible that I accidentally cheated, but I don't. It's hard to tell, just because there's so many things you're moving. So solo play does add some replayability, which is why I put it in this replayability section. But overall, it just makes the game more random, if that makes sense. Last is strategy. This is not great. In fact, I'm going to give it the lowest. It's not good at all. The reason being is because the strategy is not apparent when you describe the game, read the rules. Even halfway through the game, the strategy is not apparent of how to play this game. This is not a fighting game. This is not a, oh, I'm going to go into your area, do some combat, and beat you up some. This is an area control game. Most of your points are going to come from areas you control with mines, turrets, and where you are located. So if you lay a turret on a spot with a 1, you're only going to get 2 points from that spot. So you want to make sure you lay it on someplace with a 2 or 3, so you can get 4 or 6 points for that turret. So it is area control is the strategy of the game. But that is not apparent at all until near the end of the game, when you're getting points in like on 4, and someone's getting twice as many points of you because they've laid out more turrets and more mines than you, and you've only been trying to fight or whatever. Now, that being said, the way solo plays is the robots try to fight you a lot. That's kind of how they're programmed, is they're programmed to move towards you. And with that, there's a lot of combat in solo play. And the bot that fought me the most also was closest to beating me. They were only 3 points away from beating me. So I think there is a strategy to combat, to just, you know, getting really good weapons, fighting a lot, and getting points that way. The problem, though, is if your opponents only have 1 or 2 weapons and you have 4 weapons, you're in the Mighty Mech, you know, you're just destroying them, you still are capped to only fighting them, using maybe only 2 of your weapons to fight them, because they are then going to retreat. And then on top of that, because of the way programming works, you don't know where they're going to be in 3 turns. So you may happenstance run into them, but you can't actively find them and fight them. At least it's very difficult to do that. So while I think there is a strategy to buying the best weapons to get points and fighting to get points, I don't think it's a valid strategy to win. It may be a strategy to have fun, but definitely not to win. So the strategy, like I said, is not apparent, and it's not apparent unless either somebody tells you or you happenstance upon it. But the strategy is area control. Lay down your mines, lay down your turrets, and actually what I found doing solo play is purposely stepping on the enemy's mines and turrets while hurting you does help you, in the sense that it limits the number of points they can get. So the strategy is not only setting up your own mines and turrets, but it's stopping other people's mines and turrets from accumulating points for them. So like I said, not apparent, but once you figure it out, it is pretty easy to do that strategy. You just have to know about it beforehand, which I think is not apparent, which is why I'm giving it my lowest grade. So in conclusion, I'm kind of struggling here, honestly. Like, I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think the combat's bad. I don't think the strategies, I mean, while I gave the strategy my lowest score, I only did that because it's not apparent, not because the strategy is bad. So, while not a bad game, I also don't think it's a good game. I don't know how much I'm going to play it. I'll probably hold on to it for a little bit and play it a few more times. But honestly, it's a basic programming game, basic area control programming game, and because of that, I can't give it high marks. I'm still gonna say overall it's a 6 out of 10. Because it's not a bad game. It's really not a bad game. It's just compared to other area control games and compared to other programming games, which honestly I don't have very many programming games, but I was hoping this was gonna be my programming game that I liked, because it's not great in those two categories. I don't know how long it's going to stay on my shelf. So 6 out of 10 is my final score. Not bad by any means. Really, I really want to emphasize that it's not a bad game. It's a good game, and it's fun. Like happenstancing into somebody and fighting them. Like it's fun, enjoyable, and I honestly may just keep it for the mechs, for the power suits and the mechs. So it's a good game. It's just not my kind of good game. So 6 out of 10 for me. Overall, if you think you might enjoy this, give it a shot. But yeah, that's my review of Tiny Epic Mechs. Oh, there it goes. Tiny Epic Mechs. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe so you can get notifications when I drop more videos, more reviews, unboxings, or just general discussions. And I'm Ian. Remember, whether you're a heavy gamer or light gamer, always keep it fun. This video is brought to you by Meeple Times. Go to meepletimes.com to find many board games at buy one, get one half off. It's also brought to you by Game Booster, a Facebook group dedicated to find you the best deals on board games.